Hi, good evening, and welcome to this little live YouTube video that I will be presenting to you to talk a little bit about Pirates of the Dread Sea in general, and specifically about the next Kickstarter, which we're going to launch on Tuesday. Thank you very much for joining me, and I've never done this before, so bear with me while I rabbit on incomprehensibly for a little while. Do say hello as well. I can see the comments up on the side of my screen, so if there is indeed anybody out and the computer suggests to me that there is, then do say hello. Throughout the video today, I will also be happy to answer any questions about Pirates of the Red Sea, about Dead Earth games, and about life in general. Well, probably not so much life in general because I'm not an expert in that area, but certainly if you have any questions about Pirates of the Red Sea, that is something I should be able to answer your questions on, in theory, given that I wrote it and run the company. You are joining me live from Dead Earth Towers, which is in fact a cellar in Shrewsbury, but all the best towers are underground, aren't they? Hello, MS Paints. Hola, how are you doing? Good to have you here with me today. So yeah, what I could do, subject to any questions coming in, is go through the miniatures which will be in our next Kickstarter. So that Kickstarter, and the forthcoming one, is going to launch on Tuesday. That's the 28th. I'll probably press the live button at 8 o'clock. So unless you hear otherwise subsequently, that'll be going live at 8 o'clock. That's on Tuesday the 28th. And that Kickstarter will be for the Orcs and Goblins crew, the Scryer crew, I don't know what just happened there, but it seems to be all right now. Some gnolls, some fairies, and probably now as well a book or a booklet of extra rules, which I was going to do as a PDF, but having consulted with members of the Facebook group, I think most people would rather have a physical book, but they're going to be adding that to the Kickstarter as well. Hi Paul, good to have you on board and online. So as I say, any questions, just type away, and I will seek to answer them as best as I can as we go along. But shall we start off looking at some of the Kickstarter goodies then? So as I said, we're going to be raising funds for the Scryer crew, the Orcs and Goblins crew, a couple of fairies, and a couple of narwhals. And there's going to be a whole campaign that goes along with the narwhals, so they don't exist just as a random element or to prettify the game board. There is going to be a hunting narwhals scenario, possibly a campaign. There's going to be a campaign of some sort anyway, involving the new crews and narwhals. So should we start off with some of the Scryer miniatures? Now I don't know, as I said, I haven't done this before. I don't know how well my camera is going to want to focus on these. No, not at all, apparently. Is that because I'm there? We look at him if I'm not there. Okay, so this might make the video less functional than I'm taping in terms of showing things off. Not so great. Yeah, forgive me. As I say, I haven't done this before, so I don't know if I can get that to be better on that. I'm just going to go off screen and see if it'll refocus. Go off screen like I'm going to, I'm just going to wait in the green room until the director calls me back on. Okay, well, maybe that's going to get any better. Obviously, there are photos of these around. There'll be photos on the Kickstarter page. There are photos on the Facebook page. And maybe you can see that all right. I guess it depends on what you're watching it on. Try putting your hand behind the figure. Okay. Is that any better? Not particularly. Maybe a piece of card behind it. Well, thank you for the help. I can certainly get a piece of card which I can put behind it, or a piece of paper. Let's try that. Because I am in the cellar, which is where I do basically all of the Dead Earth Games stuff, whether that be play testing, packing, printing. I also do my day job from here at the moment, which is completely unrelated. Okay. I mean, that's not too bad. I don't think it's going to get better. Maybe some of the other miniatures will show up better. So that's one of the scry. There are 5 scry in the crew. So this one, that first one, is armed with a particularly nasty looking knife. And they've also, now it's just a knife. I was looking at the holster, but it's the knife holster. Then we have 2 with harpoons. Now, those of you that have had a good read of the book will know that there's already rules for harpoons in there. So obviously, in the campaign on the mission involving the narwhal camp, the harpoon is going to be useful, but they do work as a weapon in normal play, and as well as harming the character you're shooting at, you can kind of drag them, you can force them to move if you've harpooned them. So as I said, we've got 2 different harpoon characters. That was one harpoon armed characters, and here's the other with the bandana. It's just as well there aren't hundreds of you watching me, because this is not the most seamlessly professional video I've ever done. I mean, what I might do is another video. Well, I probably will do another video for the Kickstarter, but I might do one with a static image of the characters on as well. Okay, so this one is done differently. This one's got 2 characters. And again, as you might have picked up if you've been through the rule book, you can learn specific skills which make it more useful to be armed with 2 weapons. It allows you to do more hits with the same number of actions. So that's our 4th scryer. And the 5th one is, of course, armed with the narwhal tusk. So this is a relatively ordinary narwhal tusk. But within the campaign, there's going to be a legendary item. So for the person that catches the narwhal, whether that be the orcs and goblins or the scryer, they will be able to upgrade. So the scryer obviously will be able to replace that with a legendary narwhal tusk. The orcs and goblins will break down the narwhal tusk and use it to form the hilt of a weapon or something along those lines. I haven't written that bit yet, but that's what's going to happen, roughly. In the orcs and goblins crew, we have an orc absent without leave. He's not ready yet, because what happened was we 3D printed him out, and there was just a gap in the print, and it was easier for Ian Mountain, our sculptor, to fix that manually using greens, the traditional method of sculpting, than it was to out again and cheaper. So he's well, he is now, but he hasn't been painted. We haven't made any map versions of him. So that's why there's only 4 models to show here today. So one of those is an orc. As you can see, he's armed with a musket, so you've got some range. He's also got a sword at his side. The orcs within the orcs and goblins crew are the muscle. They are quite difficult to take. They're also amongst the biggest models in our range. So when we say 35 milliliters, 35 milliliters is what here. 35 milliliters size. We're talking about the humans. The orcs are even bigger than that. The goblins and dwarves, obviously, smaller than the dwarves, obviously. Goblins are kind of small. See, speaking of goblins, here's one. This is, I mean, I don't know whether it is just the hats and the fact that we call them captains, but something about all of the captains we've produced for our range. So that's the human captain, the dwarf captain, the necromancer of the undead team, if you want to call her a captain, and this little dude. Something about all of them, just wonderful character for me. It's all sculpted by Ian Mountain, of course, so credit where it's due. I just kind of send emails going, well, I can have some guns on, and he does the rest. I don't do it in that voice because it's an email. I find it incredibly irritating with it. So that's one of the goblins going captain. We've got the goblin captain, the 2 orcs, and then we have a goblin with a musket. And this guy is kind of doing that. He's aiming properly as he's looking down the musket. He's also armed with a sword, so they're quite well armed. The goblins are smarter than the orcs as well. That's why a goblin is the captain, because one of the things about Pirates of the Dread Sea is all characters have 2 actions, except for captains who have 3, and they use one of their actions to try and give another crew member an action. To do that, they have to pass a test, and that test is a logic and leadership test, which is kind of like their intelligence level. So if you're going to have an orc and goblin group, you want the goblin to be the captain so that he can give that order, because that potentially might allow, you can give an order to this guy to shoot. So say he's shot and reloaded, those are 2 actions for the turn. The player's thinking, oh, that's good, at least I'm not going to get shot by the orc again. And then the captain goes, I'm going to pass my logic and leadership test. That's how goblins talk. I'm going to pass my logic and leadership test and order you to shoot again. And there you go. Tactical elements there in terms of ordering, taking people by surprise by appearing to use up your actions, then actually being able to do something else. Again, do you say hello, guy that was there? And for anyone that's just joined us, do feel free to ask any questions as well. I might go through the miniatures, or if there's anything that anyone else wants to talk about, then you know, stick it in the chat. Talk to each other as well if you each other. Authentic goblin voices for the win. Yeah, I know. I mean, this is what I spend my days doing. How would the goblin talk? In my job, it talks quite a little bit like the toys that my children play with. Excuse me. The final goblin of the Goblin crew is armed quite differently. So he has got very originally named Goblin Blades. So these are poisoned blades. They are very effective at knocking the enemy out, taking the enemy out of action by poisoning them. So they work differently from other weapons. They don't need to pass the same tests. If you hit, then you knock the enemy out. So you can't kill with them, funnily enough. But I mean, he's a sneaky knocking out do. So yeah, take people out of action, stop them from acting late in the game, and then maybe the captain will order this guy to come along and stomp on their heads. Speaking of stomping on the heads, when we one day get the troll figures sorted out and made, obviously the trolls will ally with goblins and orcs, and they can stomp on heads. They can actually finish off a knocked out character without having to pass the test, because they're so big and strong. They can just get authentic noises there for Pandemonium. So those are the two crews. They are going to be, you can pledge for one or both of those. I think for both it'll be at 45 quid, and for one it'll be 24, somewhere around that. But you don't want to do that. You don't just pledge for those two crews, do you? Or you can, absolutely welcome to. But even better, you can chuck in some of the other stuff we've got. Now, the thing about, I'm looking around because I should have a model of Cabin Boy Mike somewhere as well, and I want to tell you a little about how you get him. But I'm just, oh, there he is. He's actually on the game board, which I have up in the window at the cellar, which I will show you, except everything's set up quite precariously at the moment. So luckily I have to dress fully today, not just half, so I won't offend anybody too much by leading over and picking up. And the spider that lives in the terrain over is absolutely massive now. If anyone saw the spider, he's living in my foreground wizard's tower a few weeks ago on Twitter. He's still alive and well, and durably by consuming absolutely everything else in the cellar. And I haven't had the heart to evict him and use the table. So, Cabin Boy Mike, not an orc, a goblin, or a scryer. He is a dashing young cabin boy human, based on a certain member of this company who is not the one in the video today, my brother. So he is free if you back the Kickstarter, obviously, and share it somehow. So whether that be on Twitter, whether that be on Facebook, whether that be Instagram, whether that be on a blog or a YouTube channel, just send me a message, a screenshot of how you've shared it, and we will chuck him in with your pledge. If you don't use any of those social medias whatsoever, get a friend to tell me that they're backed because of you, and I'll chuck him in. That's fine. And one way or another, we'll work it out. Obviously, the idea is to get as many people aware of the Kickstarter and backing as possible. More money that's made, more miniatures will get made. It really is as simple as that. Ian, the sculptor, and I have been having discussions today about some extra stuff that we might be able to throw into the Kickstarter as stretch goals if it does do well. So, the extra stuff. Now, what I should say about these is that the 3D printers that we normally use to create the masters of these models, which are then manufactured in metal, have been furloughed. They're not around at the moment. They're not open and working. They will be again soon, is my understanding. But that meant that the sculpts that Ian's done for the miniatures, they haven't been 3D printed professionally. the guys we normally use, who are excellent. So these are home prints. I think they've come out pretty well for home prints, but they've been done on my 3D printer, which sits over there, which was £7,000 cheaper than the one that we normally use. So anyway, as I said, I mean, the results aren't terrible, and given the detail of this video, it probably doesn't matter that much. So here is one narwhal. Now, we're not using this one exactly as he. What we're going to do instead is have him bursting out of the water and jumping a little bit like a humpback does in the world, because the model like that, yeah, it doesn't really work on the tabletop, does it? Because he's underwater. If you, so yeah, that way from there, jumping, leaping. What do they sound like? Any help there, Pantomime? Let me know if you know what a narwhal sounds like. Something like that. One would imagine. So there are two narwhal models. There's the variant of that, which is working on, and then the kind of easy to place on the tabletop. The one which has a nice flat base, and you can just see how he looks like he's coming out of the wave, splashing out of the water to attack the crews. And you can also see how the narwhal horn on the narwhal, attached to the narwhal, matches very similarly the one here. So if you want to do diorama of him pulling it off, as I think Pandemonium once suggested, that would be absolutely fine. Very minimal conversion work there required. So that I look forward to seeing. You'll have to put extra narwhals on to be able to do that. So, having not had the narwhals cast, of course, I don't know quite how I'm going to cast these. That looks like a chunky bit of metal to me, so I imagine these are going to be slightly more expensive than humanoid or humanesque figures. But we'll bundle them together. It won't be excessively expensive. So the other figures that we have done, and again these have been 3D printed at home because the 3D printers are furloughed, are some fairy assassins. These come in two parts because the wings come separately. So we've got one assassin there. She's got a pistol and a knife, and the wings would sit on. He says, does he know how the wings would sit? Wings sit on like that, quite nice actually. I probably should have got that together before we start, because I'm not use these for anything else. They're not going to be the masters, so I could have done that. And a companion, similarly armed, pistol and a knife. They are, after all, assassins. Now, one of the ways they are going to act as assassins, one of the cool things they'll be able to do in game, which the rules will be included in the Kickstarter tour, is they can change size. So yeah, you might be looking at them going, that's a very large fairy, considering the people are this big. It's easily the size of a goblin, if not slightly taller. Yeah, they can change size. Magic. One of their actions, they can transmogrify. If that's the right word. They can change. They can transform, like Transformers, into cars. No, not into cars. Into smaller fairies. They're only going to change size. So, in addition to these sculpts, there will be mini versions as well, about the size. I'll be able to show photographs of the actual size of those tomorrow or Tuesday, once I run them off the 3D printer, because I've had them sent to me today. So your fairies will actually be 4 fairies, because you'll have these two sculpts in slightly different poses, so it's not too boring, and a third of the size. And they will go on to flight stands, just like the parrot from our previous line of miniatures has done. We might get the big fairies off flight stands as well. We might just put them on normal weight, because that's TBC. So I'll just quickly go through all the miniatures again, I suppose, trying to make them visible. So the Scryer, one with harpoon, one with 2 cutlasses, the other harpoon armed Scryer, one with a blade there, and then finally, of course, the narwhal tusk wielder Scryer, having ripped it freshly from Splashy there. The goblin crew, goblin with muskets, goblin with goblin blades, goblin captain, snazzy as ever, is back with the cape, and an orc armed with a musket. The other orc is armed with 2 axes. So the other orc Obviously, we'll have pictures of, but I haven't actually got the model of, onto 2 axes, which are basically boarding axes for climbing the ship, but also obviously pretty good for chopping people's heads off, if you're so inclined. And then there's Kevin Boy Mike, who again, you can only get hold of. He won't cost you any money. He's never going to be for sale in any way. So we've given him away in competitions and for people that help us out in this campaign. You get him through sharing the campaign on social media. Obviously, you do have to back as well, because otherwise I would be forking out postage to send them to you, which isn't viable. So you back, share on social media, you get an extra miniature in your pledge. So I think that's about what I wanted to talk about in this video, in a live video, unless anybody has got any questions they want to ask. And I say anything, it's not like there's hundreds of you online at the moment. I had a couple of people dip in and out. Yeah, if there's anything you want to ask it now, otherwise I'll sign off. I'm working on another video already, which has not been live, has taken a little bit longer, and I've tried to do some images and a little bit of music and stuff. And that video is about the campaign game and about how characters can be created and how they work in a campaign. So that's a little bit more detailed. I've said about 5 times that I hope it'll be out on the day when I mention it, and clearly it hasn't been. So I don't know when that'll be out. Possibly tomorrow, possibly the day after. Obviously, the Kickstarter launch is the day after, and that's more important. So we launch the Kickstarter on Tuesday, the 28th of July, let's say at 8 o'clock. Let's assume at 8 o'clock. If you want to, you can get reminders about the Kickstarter already. If you go onto Twitter or onto Facebook or any of the Dead Earth Games media, you will see a little link to click on and set a reminder to. Are the fairies mercenaries who can join any crew? Yes. So the fairies, they might be used as non-player characters. They might be sort of AI controlled, AI flowchart controlled in a scenario. But yes, they will be mercenaries that can join any crew. I don't know if there will be any exceptions for them being mercenaries. Yeah, the exception is, can you afford them? So yeah, I think we will make them the only figures actually that can work with any crew. So they'll work with the undead, they'll work with the scryer as much as they'll work with elves and dwarves and human, because the undead generally don't have allies. So all of it, I'm blown away by the stuff you sent me. Never knew the metal models quality is unreal on this stuff. Oh, thank you very much indeed, MS Paints. So yeah, I've sent you some models, presumably to paint. Giving you a username, I think that's all. I sent a few people things, and obviously I've been sending out lots of packages for orders as well. If you've ordered from us recently, do not worry, I'm on the ball. I've taken a few days off the day job, so all orders will be going out, as well as prepping for the Kickstarter this week. So if you're waiting for something, don't worry, you won't be too much longer. Postage dependent, although post seems to be back to normal, running well at the moment. Absolutely, tickly bee. And they haven't paid me to say that. It's just, you know, my dad got his birthday card on time and he doesn't normally. So it's an improvement, if anything. Okie dokie. Well, I'm going to wind things up for now. Do look out for other videos on our YouTube. If you watch this, hit subscribe, because it's something that I intend to make a lot more use of. We haven't used it very much at all previously. I've got that video about campaign play and character creation coming up. I might do a video of talking through the book as well, although Eccentric Man's posted a video today. He does quite a good job of going through the book, and obviously he's independent. He does work for us. He's been sent that to review, to have a look at. So it's worth checking out Eccentric Man's video of Pirates of the Dread Sea. So he goes through the book and he looks at our 2 other crews, our last crews, not the dwarf crew, just the humans and the undead. So yeah, I don't know if I need to cover the same area again. If anyone's got any ideas for videos, if you'd like to do anything, then send me a message on any of our social media, and I will give it a go. If there are any questions that you think of after this, then maybe we'll do another live thing, possibly halfway through the Kickstarter. That might be quite fun, because there'll be hopefully some new people around. Obviously, at some point, I'll try some gameplay videos up when I can play a game, because that has been tricky. But I think things are beginning to change in terms of clubs opening again, social distance. I'm not sure how easy or not it will be to film, but certainly at some point we'll be doing some gameplay videos. Yeah, that's it from me. Thank you very much for joining me, guys, and I will communicate with you again soon. I find it weird when people say they'll see you soon because they can't see it, can they? Can they? I hope they can't. All right, cheers everyone, and take care. Thanks for watching. I've got to click that button that says end the stream.